Chad, the men's NCAA tournament, that's going to be in Indiana, in Indianapolis, and the surrounding areas. Several
Right.
gyms. We haven't gotten a similar announcement for the women's NCAA tournament. First off, any reason behind the lack of uniformity with men's and women's? And second, if there is something to be announced, any sense of when that might be and what the plan might be?
Well, I think the reason there wasn't uniformity in announcing it is that I feel like the NCAA is kind of like herding kittens and failing at it. But I am fairly confident it will be in the San Antonio area. There have been discussions about that, and just sort of the same way the men's did. They came out and said, well, we think we're going to do it in Indianapolis and the Indiana. In the state of Indiana, in the Indianapolis area specifically, and then the women, a little bit after that said, yeah, we think we're going to do the same thing in San Antonio, San Antonio area, and it makes a lot of sense. I mean, that's where those championship Final Fours are supposed to be held, so you don't want to take that away from those cities, and it's just like pick a spot, and try to soldier through it and get the thing done, because I don't think anybody wants to just walk away from it last year. And in March 11th or March 12th last year, there was no, idea of how to handle this. There wasn't, I think in March 11th, March 12th last year, if you'd have said, okay, well, we're going to go to, not only are we going to go to no fans, but we're only going to have the women's tournament in the state of Louisiana. I think everybody would have been like, well, hold on a second. Mm. Louisiana is one of the hot spots right now, so we're all going to go to Louisiana. And we didn't know anything about COVID-19. I remember playing golf in April, and they were having you not touch the flag sticks, and they were putting foam in the cup so that you could reach and get your ball out of the cup without touching the flag stick, right? Mm-hmm. As if flag sticks were going to be the super spreaders of COVID-19. So, but I think we're a year down the road, and I think that they see how they can at least attempt to play the tournaments. It's going to look weird and it's not going to feel right, I don't think. But, another question is, why in the heck would they have conference tournaments?
That's the question I was going to ask you, Chad, is there going to be, have they pretty much kind of taken a flyer and said, we're going to dispatch with a conference tournament this year?
No,
or are they going to play it?
They have not. And it's on the schedule. And I'm cynical enough to think that conference tournaments are just a big cash grab for the conference. But in order for it to be a cash grab, you have to have a full arena, right? Don't you? I guess you still got TV money involved, and that's a good thing, because the college football season was useless except for my alma mater, Texas Tech, got out there and played 10 games and got TV money from those 10 games, which they probably need pretty bad to keep the athletic department running.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Chad, let me just ask a follow-up on that. Is it possible that the Big 12 tournament, instead of herding cats, to one site, they can just perhaps have like an extended bubble at the end of the regular season, or maybe not an extended bubble, but like an extended plan where wherever the certain teams played their last regular season game, they stay there and play an extra game, and they call that a Big 12 tournament quarterfinal, and then they just play two more games and they call them the semis.
I doubt it. I think probably what they're going to do is, they're probably going to have everybody come to Kansas City and play a Big 12 basketball tournament with 25% of the stands full. If you notice, the Kansas City Chiefs have been playing football games with 25% of, in the stands, or however many they're allowing in the stands.
Right.
So, I think I told you guys that high school football was kind of, so it kind of gave an example to me of how things can be done, one way to do things. I'm not saying I'm not smart enough to know the right way or the wrong way, but I mean, here you got high school football that, people said, no, you can't play high school football. There was a legislator in Texas, I think uh, not the comptroller, but the attorney general. The attorney general came out and said, well, the local health authorities don't have the authority to tell these schools what they can and can't do. And so the high schools went ahead and played high school football. And, I mean, if you got sick, you went and got tested, on your own or whatever, right? But there wasn't like widespread every week testing. And so what happened was in the smaller schools, 1A through 4A, they went through the season and some people had to cancel games. And you had a real funny situation. I mean, I guess none of this is funny, but in a way, you get to the first round of the playoffs and, this team that was the fourth place team in their district and barely made the playoffs is matched up against the number one team in the state. And all of a sudden that fourth place team was like, oh yeah, we've got COVID issues. We can't play this game, and that happened all over the state, and so, but then the rest of them, they went and they played and they wrapped up, 6 rounds of playoffs and the state championships the week before Christmas. So, and you didn't see, oh, well, one week team A had some COVID cases and you look back and the team that they played also had COVID cases. That I didn't see that anywhere. And so it's just another step of learning about this virus and about how a pandemic moves through culture in 2020 and 2021. And then on the other hand, like I said, you've got Kim Mulkey contact tracing and sitting out and then coming back to the program thinking that she has gotten by without getting it and testing positive. And all of a sudden you don't have Baylor UConn on Thursday night. You don't have a Big 12 game on Saturday. And then you rearrange your schedule. And so I think there's probably a lot to be said for testing and that they're testing college athletes multiple times a week. And I think there's probably a lot to be said for that in prevention. I mean, at Baylor, and this is like just crazy to me, but Baylor, they got into the sewage lines of the dorms to figure out which dorms had COVID in them. And that to me is just like bizarro world. But then somebody told me, hey, that helped Baylor get through the semester and without having outbreaks and having to shut down campus.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because the University of Arizona actually revolutionized that. They, I guess they started sharing that information because that's how they started doing the dorms. They stopped a couple of outbreaks because they could pick one dorm that had some levels, and then they would quarantine the people in that dorm for a few days, and that would stop the outbreak on campus.
Right. Yeah. And so, I mean, applause to them for being willing to do that and stopping it that way. Now, if I'm on a college basketball team and we're 2-9 and I'm having COVID tests every other day, it's going to get old real fast.